Good afternoon. My name is Nashayla Witten, and today we're going to be discussing family structure and its effect on academic performance. This is a quantitative study, but before I hop into the logistics of this proposal, I want to talk about what triggered my interest in this subject. So I'm a school teacher at Sanders Clyde Elementary School, 4th grade. I have 15 students in my class, 3 students who have 2 parents in their home who live with both of their parents, and I have 12 students that live in single parent homes or with their grandparents. Now, one thing that I've noticed as their academic behavior is that my 3 students that do live with both their parents, they are my overachievers. Those are my students who strive to make all A's, my students who have parents that are on them when it comes to their grades. And not only that, but their family members are all involved in the school system and involved in every activity, everything that we have in the afternoons. They are involved in their lives. Also, another thing that I've noticed was out of my 12 students, I may have had about 2 or 3 students who have been, excelling and doing really good, but very rarely did I see their parents involved. Very rarely did I see them actually get help with their homework. And this triggered something for me because I wanted to know, was this a phenomenon or was this all about the family structure that triggered this academic behavior? Or was it the family structure that triggered this effect? And that brings us to this statement. Children in single-parent homes are more likely to drop out of school, become unemployed, and live in poverty. This was a statement that was pulled from an article from Herndon and Roberts in 2018. Now, there are common misconceptions based on inaccurate generalizations from other research. This is one of them. Many things can have a part or play a part in the effects of school dropout, unemployment, and poverty. In a 1992 study done by Mielke and some other researchers, the study identified many developmental factors that play a part in differing levels of disadvantage, including cultural norms, social norms, race, ethnicity, and poverty rate. And now that's an issue because that leads us to this research problem. There is not enough research to assess the many factors which directly affect the academic performance of children of single parents. Now, it says many factors. In order to test this, we have to narrow our search down to test the relationship between specific variables and academic success. Earlier, we mentioned cultural norms play a part in the level of disadvantage in children. From those cultural norms, we will be looking at family structures, which brings us to our research question. What effect does the family structures have on the academic success of students raised in single-parent homes? And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. Here's our purpose. We want to explain the relationship between different family structures and the academic success of the child. We want to compare family structures to formulate which has the best influence on academic success. And we want to test the theory of post-positivism, which compares the different family structures to academic success, controlling for socioeconomic status for parents of students at a large Title I school. And here are the variables. The independent variable is different family structures, and we're going to be talking about these in specific. The traditional family structure with both a male and a female, the homosexual family structure with 2 females, the homosexual family structure with 2 males, the single parent family structure with the female being that single parent, and the single parent family structure with the male being the parent. The dependent variable of academic success will be defined as how a child performs on the report card 4 times a year. Now, research can help to provide parents, teachers, counselors, and therapists with a more positive framework in order to meet the needs of all students. Guidance counselors can provide parenting classes. Teachers can provide more support with academics in the classroom. Parents will be more aware of how to help their children inside the home and at school. Context and participants. So the setting, this research is to be taking place at the conference room at Pine Holly Elementary School. This is the best setting for the study because it's known to being one of the most diverse elementary schools in the United States. This school is located in a small rural city with more than 6 ethnicities represented in the school population. This includes American Indian, Asian, Hispanic, African American, Caucasian American, Hawaiian, and 2 or more races. This diverse population allows for the data to be more representative of a broad perspective. Then we have stratified sampling. This stratified sampling helps us to make sure that we have all of our variables included in the study. And when I say variables, we're talking about the subgroups, every category, every type of family structure represented. Then after we get our stratified sampling, then we're going to random sample 100 parents, 20 parents from each family structure to ensure that so that we can get more responses for generalization's purpose. All right, and then eligibility. The parent must have a child that attends Pine Holly Elementary School. Research design. All right, so a ready-made survey will be used to assess how parents could respond to 10 different scenarios concerning their child. The scenarios attempt to see how the parents respond to case-sensitive things about their child. This survey was going to evaluate whether there is a relationship between a certain family structure and academic success. There will be 2 versions. Version A is for parents whose child age is 5 to 8 years old. Version B is for parents whose child age is from 9 to 12 years old. Now, the questions on both will be the same, but it's only changing the scenarios to make it more applicable to the child. The scenarios question the teaching style, the punishment, and the relationship between the child and the parent. Surveys will then be coded and compared to their report card grades that each student produces to see if there is a relationship. Data sources. All right, so one way we're going to be getting our information is through surveys. Each parent is going to be given a survey. Two parent home surveys will be treated as one by averaging the mean between the 2 scores. Then another source is the family structures themselves. Another source of our data is the report cards. The dependent variable of academic success will be defined as how a child performs on the report card 4 times a year. However, some people may raise concern about the report card grades being weighed differently depending on the teacher. So, another way that we will use to measure academic success is by taking the statewide MAPS data. This testing is not subject to teacher bias, and it provides accurate data reflective of what the student knows at the current time period. So we will be using both report cards and MAPS data to help us get the information that we need. Procedures. These are the steps that the researcher and the participants are going to take to make sure that we get our data without any bias accurately. First, All participants will meet one evening after school to get details about the research. Then, on a certain day, surveys will be administered to the families. A cover sheet will be provided asking for the relationship status of the parents. Then, groups will be made from the cover sheet, which asks parents about their relationship status to ensure that all subgroups will be fulfilled. Then I'll randomly assign 20 members of each subgroup a survey and allow them to complete it. Then we will collect our data and aggregate data based on subgroups. Then, last but not least, we are going to compare and analyze the performance of the independent variables. However, these are some ethical considerations that we have to be aware of. It's very important that we remain ethical during every stage of our research. And part of good research is being able to anticipate ethical issues prior to performing this study. Now, the first ethical consideration that we must bring to our awareness is the fact that some of our participants may have a fear of collecting harmful information. They may be fearful of that. In order to prevent the participants from believing that the researcher will access extraneous information, is that the researcher can discuss the true purpose of the study and how the data will be used. The researcher can also be sure to avoid leading questions and avoid sharing their personal impressions on their responses, on the participants' responses. Another ethical consideration that we must be aware of is exploitation. We must respect the potential power imbalances and the exploitation of participants. We understand that the researcher will be given access to personal information. With this, the researcher must be sure to involve the participants as collaborators of the study. That's super duper important when we're talking about having access to personal info. Next, harm. We must be sure that the disclosure of information does not harm or put any participants in any way in harm. All right. And what this means is that the researcher needs to ensure that stories are told or information is coded in such a way that it does not easily identify particular participants. All right, and now we're down to my reflection piece. Why quantitative design? Well, the research problem was that there were too many factors that affected the academic success of the students. But quantitative data helps us to disaggregate the data and to find causal relations or relationships between specific factors such as the family structure and the academic success. So that's the reason why I chose quantitative data. It fit what I was trying to assess when it comes down to all the factors that play a part in the disadvantage of certain students. All right. Some additional reasons is because it can be replicated with different sample sizes. So this research can always be redone with a different population. Another reason is because the data collection is a little easier because of the digital and mobile devices. Interviews and surveys currently can take data online and aggregate data into charts, making data collection easier. And another advantage is that the data rigidity. All right. You can test the effects of one variable at a time. And for this project, that's exactly what I was trying to do. I wanted to see specifically what the impact of the family structure was on academic success. All right. And then the purpose of alignment. Now, we know that alignment is very important when combining elements of a proposed study, and the researcher should be consistent and clear throughout the whole proposal. And I want to just add here that I've learned throughout my whole experience, but just to highlight some reasons for alignment, here we know that alignment encourages self-reflection. It keeps our ideas focused and laser-like. And it also helps the researcher to find personal strengths and weaknesses in their writing. However, I did realize that it was hard to detect alignment issues when we waited until the end of our paper to review for alignment. At the end, it's harder to notice misalignment because of how familiar you are with the content and with what you're